Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall Psychic all the way from the Gold Coast. I hope wherever you are in this amazing planet of ours, you're having a very amazing week. I know it's been an amazing week for the US with the president deciding to step down out of the political race, and that's not for us to judge here in Australia. That's very much for the people of the USA to decide later on in the year that who they want to be their new president. So let's get on with the Simply Tarot card of the week this week is the Seven of Wands. Now, the Seven of Wands is a very unusual sort of card in as much as you can see him there holding his wand above the other six in front of him. And it's the card of frustration. You are on top of the situation now. So if you look at the fact that he's got one wand and he's standing above the other six wands, even though there may be frustration in your life, you are in the driver's seat. You are on top of the situation. You can get on top of whatever has been frustrating you or holding you back. And then you'll be able to take a giant leap forward then, because once you get on top of a situation and you start to feel as if you're back in control, then solutions come, answers come. We start to sort of get our mojo back that we feel that we can then sort of conquer the world or conquer our own piece of the world. And it's an important card because many times in our lives, we do feel as if we're not on top of a situation. We want to be, we're working hard to try and get some sort of balance back in our life. And when this card comes out in a reading, and particularly you've been going through that situation, no, you may not have all the answers just yet, but you're certainly well on the path to having the answers, to be getting on top of the situation. And there will be some breakthroughs. I always look at this card as a very positive card in a reading because it means we're finally getting some breakthroughs. We're breaking the deadlock. Things are starting to sort of break down and become much more manageable than what they were. So this, in a sense, is a positive card, even though it doesn't look so positive to begin with, because you are frustrated, but you are on top of the situation. And that's what you need to remember. You're back in the driver's seat. And that's the most important thing here. Okay, moving on to the astrology section. The sun has moved into Leo, so happy birthday to all the Leos. And I know there's plenty of famous Leos around the world, and I'm not going to mention any today. But it's a time of the year where no matter what your star sign is, we all start to feel the momentum, the energy, the excitement in the air of the seasons are changing, things are getting exciting, sort of there's a buzz in the air. And I've noticed it particularly in the last few days as we were leading into this, the commencement of the Leo energy, just the shift in people's attitudes, because I work with people all around the world, just their attitude was shifting. There was a sort of a sense of excitement or anticipation in the air. And it's like, I want to get moving again. It's almost like we're in the second half of the year. I've got so many things I want to complete between now and the end of the year, and I've got this renewed vigor or this renewed energy. So, happy birthday again to all the Leos. For the rest of us mere mortals, the other 11 signs, we'll just bask in your glory. We'll let you take centre stage, and we'll just sort of be there to clap and cheer you on and sort of admire you from a distance. So we have Venus, the planet of love and affection, is also sitting in Leo at the moment. So this means for anybody that's looking to bring love into their lives, you've got to sort of strut your stuff a little bit. It doesn't matter what your star sign is. You've got to look for love in places where a Leo might go, or the Leo energy is prevalent, and which is sort of going to the theatre, going out, going to stage productions, going to a concert in the park. It's a very sort of social time. You need to get out amongst the people. And that's what the important thing is. Look, I know today's modern way of meeting people is through a dating app. You swipe left or right or however you do it. But that's not always the way that we can meet people. We can do it the old-fashioned way by sort of actually getting up off the couch and going out and enjoying life and participating in life and getting involved in things. And sometimes, people meet people by, taking up a new hobby. I know I've had lots of friends over the years that have gone into stage productions or local theatre productions because they've been bored or needed to build their confidence or learn to project their voice at work and things like that, have joined little theatre companies for many varied reasons. Well, that's the perfect place to meet somebody that's on the same page as you, as well as getting out, maybe joining a bowling league or taking up tennis or golf or doing something that gets you out of the house, off the couch, and out amongst the people. So it's a time to sort of really get out there and make sure that you look your best. There's no point in going out and looking like something the cat dragged in and then expecting to meet the love of your life. You've got to put your best foot forward. And while Venus is in Leo, it's encouraging us to really sort of ramp up our appearance. And a lot of us are, I think, a little bit complacent. Oh, any old thing will do. I'm just ducking to the shop. Well, you never know. That might be the time that you meet the love of your life. You want to make sure that you're well presented. So we also have the planet of communication. Mercury is sitting in Leo. Now, this I'm going to sort of say to everybody, err on the side of caution. If you've got something to communicate, regardless of what your star sign is, make sure that you're not going in roaring like a lion, jumping up and down on the spot and ranting and raving. Make sure that, yes, you can come in assertive. Yes, you can come in a powerful sort of way, in a dynamic sort of way, but make sure it's a calm sort of way too. You get people's attention by being assertive and positive and direct and sort of full of confidence than you do by coming and shouting and ranting and raving and bashing your fists on the desk. That doesn't work for anybody. So be aware of that, because sometimes communication can come across a little bit too bossy in a sense, and it doesn't matter again what your star sign is. You can be very passionate about something, but you can be passionate about something in a way that it doesn't come across as dictatorial or being bossy or being too forthright. You can be positive, you can be definite, you can be strong, but you can still sort of present it in a way that's palatable to the person that's got to listen to you. So at the moment, we've got the planet of discipline, which is Saturn, is sitting in Pisces. Now, it's going retrograde, or what's known as backwards, is what retrograde is, until November. So what this means is the planet of discipline is affecting each and every one of us, but it's affecting more the water signs. It's Pisces, Scorpio, and Cancer, and the opposite sign of Virgo. Now, it's putting a restriction on things. It's not saying that things are impossible. It's not saying don't get up off the couch and start new projects. What it's suggesting to you is to make sure that you've got all your ducks in a row. Have you really thought about what you're doing? Is there any extra effort that you might need to put in? If there's a roadblock or an obstacle, it doesn't mean the project should be sort of shelved. It just means maybe we need to go back and have another look. Have you missed a critical piece? Have you looked at something that overlooked something that may be a key piece that may sort of derail this? It's a time of sort of reflection a little bit, and not sort of necessarily saying something's wrong, but looking at, have I done all my due diligence? And this will flow on to all the other signs as well. There may be some projects that you're trying to get off the ground, whether it's a new job or sort of move the relationship along or whatever, and you keep feeling like you're hitting a roadblock. Yes, you are to a certain point, but it's to stop, look, and listen and see what we need to change or maybe modify, or is it maybe not the right time? Do we just sort of sit back and have a little breather and approach it again in a week or two's time? There's many, many layers to the answers here. There's not just one size fits all, but it's certainly not saying stop, give up, and go a different direction. It's saying reassess, look at the situation. Sometimes we get so enthusiastic that we get a little bit ahead of the timetable and we miss some of the key or vital pieces that need to be processed or looked at or dealt with or implemented as we go along. So don't forget, Saturn is actually in Pisces, will be retrograde until November, middle of November, before he starts to turn direct and makes his final little push through Pisces before he moves on. We also have Neptune, the planet of illusion, delusion, creativity, things that brings the mystical side of life, brings the creative side out in all of us, but is currently sitting in Pisces, again going retrograde or backwards until December this year. This is in the last couple of degrees of Pisces. Now, Neptune actually rules Pisces, so it feels very comfortable here. So again, I'm focusing on the water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, and the opposite sign of Virgo, but it is washing over all the other remaining 8 signs. So it's sort of suggesting if you feel like you're in a bit of a creative slump, then don't be too hard on yourself. Diversify your energy. If you're not getting an answer this way, then maybe try something else, or get up and do some gardening, or go for a walk, or go to the shops, or do something. Break the energy, that when you come back, you might find that the creative juices start to flow a little bit more and things start to become easier. For many of us, it's a time where we feel like we're coming out of a very, very long dark tunnel that we've been in for a very long time. And finally, we're starting to see the light. We're starting to see some positivity. We're starting to see things breaking up a little bit that shows us the way forward. And that's a good thing. That's not necessarily a bad thing. So this will still continue to go retrograde until December, as I said. But as each month progresses, we're starting to see a little bit more light at the end of the tunnel than what we were. So we've got an interesting configuration at the moment. We've got the moon conjunct or holding hands, the part of fortune, which is also in Pisces. Now, this will only be for another 36 hours. So what this means is, on an emotional level, we might get some breakthroughs. Now, again, I'm focusing on the water signs, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio and the opposite sign of Virgo, but it's washing over the other remaining 8 signs as well. So really listen to what your emotions are telling you in the next 36 hours. There may be some answers there to things that have troubled you or things that you haven't had a conclusion or an answer to for a very, very long time. Now, again, it may come in a creative sort of way. It may come in the message of a song or something that you walk past the telly and somebody's talking about something on the telly and that's the answer I've been looking for. So it's not necessarily just going to come into your mind. It may come in a very unusual or different way, or somebody sends you an email or sort of put something up on social media and you think, oh yeah, that's the answer I've been looking for. So look for some creative answers there. The next 36 hours, if you don't get anything, that's okay. It means that, you weren't necessarily meant to get a message, or that you're on the right track, that there was nothing that the universe needed to share with you. Wouldn't that be lovely, that you could finally say, gee, I know it all? But we never know it all, but it's nice to think we might for a few hours anyway. Uranus is still sitting in Taurus. Now Uranus is on the last few degrees of sitting in Taurus as well, but with Uranus, because it is so slow moving and it does its retrograde dance as well, it will still be there till 2026. So people were sort of questioning me and sending me messages this week about, is Uranus ready to move into the next sign of Gemini? No, it's not. Uranus will still be there until well into 2026. Now, with Uranus is a planet of the unusual, the unexpected happenings. Now, because it's sitting in Taurus, it will be affecting Earth signs, which is your Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, and the opposite sign of Scorpio. So with Uranus, it's the planet of the unusual, the unexpected, things that happen out of nowhere or seemingly come out of nowhere, or decisions that are made suddenly. It's something that can come along and it can clear things away. It might look bad to begin with, but ends up being for your own good, which is a great thing. Sometimes I think, we have to make decisions which to other people seem as if they've come out of nowhere, but they've actually been in the pipeline for some time. We just haven't been in a position to share that information or want to share that information with other people until the time's right. So I want to wrap up the astrology section with a little focus on Jupiter sitting in Gemini. Now, Jupiter's in Gemini, so of course it's affecting most of the air signs. Jupiter is affecting Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, and the opposite sign of Sagittarius. But it does wash over the other 8 signs. Jupiter's the planet of expansion, opportunity, and luck. Now, there's plenty of luck and opportunity to go around for no matter what your star sign is. What I'm going to caution you on is Jupiter can be the planet of excesses too. Don't go and blow your trumpet unless you can back it up. If you say I am the best at something, then have the proof to back that up, because Jupiter might just be challenged here and turn and say, well, prove it to me. It's a time when opportunities can land in your lap, or so they seem, but usually those opportunities have been worked for. There's something that you've been diligently working on behind the scenes, or upskilling or training or whatever. If you're looking for a new job, you haven't just had somebody tap you on the shoulder and say, here's a great job for you because you're a nice looking person. You've usually had to put some sort of effort into it. So just be aware of that Jupiter is sitting in Gemini, and it can be a little bit fickle. It can be sort of here today and gone tomorrow. So make sure that any opportunities, no matter what your star sign are, that come into your orbit over the next 6 months are something that's solid, something that you really want. I'm not saying don't look at them. I'm just saying really explore them and make sure that it's everything that you want it to be. We're going to talk with Lydia in Wilder in Idaho in the US. Are you there, Lydia?
Hi.
Hi, sweetie. Do you have a question I can answer for you?
I just wanted like a general reading, see what you see in my future.
Okay. It's just easier on the show here. If you have a direct question, I'd like to answer that for you so that I get to something that you want. It's fine. I can look generally, but there may have been something pressing that was on your mind that you wanted an answer to.
My health, but I don't know if you do health.
Health is one of those tricky areas. By different laws in different countries and states and things like that, we're not allowed to talk about health because I'm not a doctor, but I can talk about it on an energetic level because that's, under the heading of what I do. On an energetic level, they're showing you that there's endings, change, and transformation coming up. Now, by that, I don't mean that you're at the end of your life. I want to be very clear on that.
Yeah.
But whatever changes that you've been making recently, and I only want to go back about 6 or 8 weeks, is there something that you've started to do different in that period of time?
I
Should
kind of got on a
start to
diet.
bring some,
I stopped drinking soda and bread, and I
right.
kind of that's the only thing I could think of.
Okay. All right. That may be the turning point there that, maybe you're onto something there that, sort of by making those slight changes in your diet, maybe that might
Uh
be
huh.
putting less stress on your body and help you to sort of start to sort of move forward again. What I'm
Okay.
sort of picking up on an energetic level, it was like everything got stuck. It was like it was all became a very hard ball. And it's like a ball of concrete, and I needed a jackhammer to get in there and break it up. So that would
Uh
sort of
huh.
fit with the slight changes that you've made. But I'm also going to
Okay.
suggest to you, don't be too rigid. Do you know what I mean? If, today you get out of bed and you really, really feel like a soda, don't fight that.
Uh
If
huh.
it's that strong, have a little bit. Don't drink the whole
Okay.
bottle. Have enough to
Okay.
satisfy that urge because we do more damage by fighting things like that. If our body's screaming for something, it's not just a fancy. Sometimes there is something in there, even if it isn't nutritious, that our body needs. But we tend to, as human beings, think, oh, good, I need a soda, I'll have a whole bottle, instead of having, a mouthful at a time and listening to what our
Yeah.
body's suggesting. And if you do that, then I think you'll start to get on the right track. I don't think from an energetic level, what you've been experiencing health wise is that serious. It's just sort of like a culmination of things over the years. And I'm going to throw a lot of stress in there as well. You haven't had the
Okay.
easiest of lives, have you? And I think your body's got to a point now that it says, I've had enough. I can't do this
Yeah.
anymore. You're not going to put another pile of stress on top of me. I'm going
Yeah.
on strike. And I think that's the major part that we need to look at. Look, none of us can go through life without stress. That'd be lovely if we could, but we can't. But what you can do is
Mhm.
look at what you can deal with. You know what I mean? Pick your battles.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
there's something that's
Yeah.
really important, then go fight for that. If it's not that important, then try and minimize it or walk away from it or look at who owns the problem. I think part of your problem, Lydia,
Okay.
is that you take on board everybody else's issues, don't you? You're too kind.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. I do.
Yeah, well, we've got to learn to
It's
say
hard
no,
for me to say
sweetie.
no.
I know, but it's something you got to practice. You got to get up every
Okay.
morning and look in the mirror and practice no, no, no. And once you start to
Okay.
bring it into your life and look, it's not saying that you've got to say no to everything. Say I come to you and I've got a
Yeah.
problem with my marriage. Now you look at that and you
Yeah.
say, look, I feel very sorry for you, Amanda, but that is not my problem. I'll give you some of my wisdom. I'll give you 5 minutes of
Mhm.
my time. And then after that, the answer's no. You're on your own. Do you know what I mean? So that you've
Yeah.
satisfied that desire to help, but at the same time, we haven't drained all your reserve tanks, which is what everybody's doing. It's like they're coming around and dumping on your front doorstep all their dirty laundry for you to do.
Uh huh.
And I'll pick it up when it's clean. I don't want to do the work. So that's why I'm suggesting to you, you have to learn to say no because it's not doing you any good. Then you'll have enough energy and enough in your reserve tank for what you need. And, sometimes the
Okay.
universe works in strange ways like that, that it makes us sick so that we have no other choice but to say no. "Oh, I'm too cook. I can't possibly help you today. I'm in bed. I've got the flu,"
Yeah.
or,
Okay.
whatever the case may be. We don't want you to be sick because that's the only way the universe can get you to stop. We want to learn to
Okay.
work with it. And I'm one of those people that I believe in things in moderation. Like you shouldn't say that there's a bad food or a good food. All food's food.
Mhm.
It's how much you have of it. If you satisfy
Yeah.
that little urge for a little bit, then it's not doing you any harm. If you constantly say to
Okay.
yourself, "No, I can't do that," and you want to sort of keep fighting your body, then you're setting up a resistance again and a stress again that's not necessary. And that's why I said, if you want a soda, have a little bit. You might end up
Yeah.
having 5 mouthfuls or a glassful. So what? The world's not going to end.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like you've satisfied what your body needs out of it. And sometimes it's just a comfort thing. Your body's telling you need it because you're stressed and it's a comfort. I mean,
Yeah.
I can remember years
Yeah.
ago when I used to smoke. I used to say to people, I don't smoke because I enjoy it. It's my friend. I enjoyed sitting down for 5 minutes with a cup of coffee, a cigarette, and some music. And that was my little
Yeah.
reward. And, it wasn't that I needed the cigarette, like as you don't need the soda, but it was how I managed my day. So and after a while you'll
Yeah.
realise that you're not even craving that anymore because your body and your mind and your soul is all back in a balance again. So I hope that's helped you.
Okay.
We've got to move on now, Lydia. It's been lovely to talk to you. We're going to talk with Neville in Manchester in England. Are you there, Neville?
Yes, good evening.
Good evening, Neville. It's morning here in Australia. How can I help you? Do you have a question I can answer for you?
I've just gone through some difficult times. I'm just wondering if the sort of daylight ahead.
Okay, so you want to know what's ahead for you, Neville. Is that what you're asking?
Yes, please.
Yep, okay. Just want to be very clear on that. Okay, Neville, the first thing that they're sort of showing me is it's like there's a road ahead for you and it's like you're not looking at it. Why do you sort of feel stuck? Is that how you're feeling at the moment? As if you feel sort of stuck, as if you don't know what the next step is?
I think it's accepting change more than anything else and hoping to get back to the past.
Okay, I'm struggling to hear you. Did you say that you sort of feel as if there's got to be change ahead of you and that you sort of feel not quite ready for that yet?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, that fits with what I saw because I saw a road ahead of you that was sort of fanning out, sort of showing me as if there's a beautiful new horizon, new opportunities there for you. But it was like I was stuck at the very beginning bit, as if it was like the size of a pinhead and I don't seem to be able to sort of go over the top of it, sideways, round it, anything. It's sort of like I'm stuck. That won't be there for much longer. And I don't think it's anything that you're doing, Neville, that's making you stuck. I think it's just that you've been so good at listening to what your intuition's telling you and sort of following it very carefully, that you're actually ahead of the timetable of where you should be. And that's why you now feel stuck because you sort of thought, well, I was going along at great guns and then all of a sudden it's like I hit this brick wall and I can't seem to push forward. Give it a little bit more time. I think by the end of August, early September, you're going to start to find things are going to start to break up and things will start to move. Were you anticipating looking for a new job? Because they keep showing me a new job as if they're dangling it in front of you, as if, do you want it or don't you?
Yeah, I'm actually a retired policeman. I do work part time, but I am looking to change what I'm doing at the minute.
Right, good. Okay, well, there will be something that'll be dangled in front of you. And I'm going to take it by them sort of dangling it to sort of say, well, it's here if you want it, that it maybe isn't exactly as you imagined it would be. Maybe it's sort of like an adjustment for you to think, well, do I really want to go that direction or don't I? It's not saying that if you turn it down that there won't be something else behind it. I feel what they're showing it to me like that for is that you're in a position of choice. You don't always have to take the first thing that comes along just because it's offered to you. You've got to sit down and look at, does this really fit me? Is this the direction I want to go? Is this where I want to go long term wise? Sometimes people sort of think, oh, I've got to change my job. And the first thing that comes, oh, I'll take that, and then 6 months down the track, they think, oh, I'm back in the same situation. I don't want you to see you in that. What they're showing me is that I'll dangle it in front of you, look at it. If it fits and it feels comfortable, then take it. If it doesn't, turn it down and know that there will be something right behind it that will come in that's got a better fit. It's interesting because what they're showing me between now and the end of the year is that once things start to move again, they're going to sort of, slowly start to build up like a steam chain. You can see the axles turning over and then all of a sudden it's full steam ahead and there's no stopping you. So, enjoy, I think, the quiet time at the moment, the little bit of peace, the little bit of time there where you can just sort of relax a little bit and sort of enjoy the family and go out for a coffee and just chill for the moment, because once things start to rev up again, there won't be that luxury of time, I think, to be able to spend time with your loved ones as much and sort of, really sort of have a bit of a private life. So enjoy this time for the moment. Also, they're showing me whatever changes that you made around March, April this year, they weren't the wrong ones. So they didn't clearly show me what that was. They just showed me that there'd been a major shift around that time. And, you'd looked back over your shoulder and wondered whether or not you'd actually done the right thing or could you have done it any better or differently. The answer is no, you did it precisely the way that was meant to happen. So don't look back with any regret or any what ifs. just sort of say, well, I made those decisions then. They were the right decisions then, and I still stand by them. And by doing that, I actually think that you'll feel that you're making more progress than what you've given yourself credit for. It's interesting because you're such an in tune sort of person with yourself, Neville, and yet you don't give yourself credit for that. You sort of fight it all the time. You think, oh, well, that was only a fluke, or, maybe, that happened. I was lucky that happened. No, don't say you're lucky anymore. Say, I've worked for this. I've listened. I've done the work. I've done the hard yards. I deserve it. And the more you can accept that you deserve the changes and the positive things that are happening, the more things will improve for you. It's like, it is okay to like money. Just because you're spiritual or, you're listening to your inner voice doesn't mean you have to be on the bones of your backside and broke. You can have a really nice lifestyle and a fancy sports car if that's what you want, if you've worked for it. So, look at things being in balance. I think you've struggled with that balance of what you've deserved and what you've worked for, Neville.
Thank you. That makes a lot of sense.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, that's where we're going to have to leave it, Neville. I wish you well. We've only got 2 minutes left of the show. It's been lovely talking with Lydia and Neville, and both had different questions about where their lives are going and what's happening in their own little piece of paradise. And I think all of us question those sort of things from time to time. I know that I do. What's the next step? I'm one of those people that's always looking for the next Mount Everest to climb. And even at my stage of life, I still, climbing Mount Everest, I like to have different projects on the go that keep me motivated and keep me fresh, and also help me with helping other people understand what they're going through, because, we are all in this together. It is a beautiful journey on the universe. And this week I want to leave you with an extra special song. It's really interesting because I have a wide cross-section of music that I listen to, and I listen to music every single day. And sometimes people sort of question, oh, I didn't think you'd like that type of music, but I am very, very, very fond of Motown soul music. And one of my favourite singers, look, I have lots of favourite singers out of the Motown family, but this particular lady I think is absolutely inspirational, and it's Gladys Knight, and the song is The Best Thing That Ever Happened to Me. And I think it's one of the most beautiful songs that's ever been written, and Gladys certainly does a beautiful rendition of it with Gladys Knight and the Pips. So until next week, be the best thing that ever happened to me.